The next chapter of the Cobra threat begins here. James McCullen, Destro, 24, is the man behind M.A.R.S Industries, the undisputed leader in providing high-tech weapons to world powers for the right price. But the emergence of Energon has changed everything. As Destro's ambitions grow, the Crimson Twin, Tomax, Xamot, Poly emerged to destroy their competition, and Cobra Commander realized his current ally could be his future greatest enemy. Acclaimed writer Dan Waters, Universal Monsters, Creatures from the Black Lagoon Lives, Loki, and artist Andre Brisson, Dark Ride, Birthright changed the balance of power in the Energon universe forever. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comic, Destro, Volume 1, Issue 1, The Energon Universe. In the Republic of Darklonia, protesters are riding at the gates of the Prime Minister's residence. The Prime Minister insists that this is not a protest, but an insurgence, as the demonstrators are violent and intent on undermining the Darklonian way of life. The general suggests evacuating the palace, but this infuriates the Prime Minister. He retorts, "I can't tell if you're being facetious or weak. Look at them. I give them so much, yet they only moan and do nothing to help themselves. Send out a few more of my enthusiastic soldiers to rough them up." He believes that a few gunshots will disperse the protesters. The Prime Minister's soldiers come out and announce, "The revolution is canceled, I'm afraid, boys and girls. You are outmatched by our vastly superior firepower." Suddenly, an Energon-powered battle android trooper appears, staring down the soldiers. The soldiers are unfamiliar with the bat, but as it raises its artillery, the protesters fall back in fear. Battle android trooper Bat is an advanced prototype from M.A.R.S Industries and Cobra, powered by Energon. Its logic circuitry is state-of-the-art, featuring a heat signature targeting system. With a modified arm cannon, it aims at the soldiers. They fire first, but their bullets have no effect on the bat, leaving the soldiers baffled as to how he is still standing. The problem for the Republic, Darklonia, is not just one bat, but hundreds of bats falling from the sky. The Prime Minister hears a lot of gunfire and assumes his soldiers are just dispersing the protesters. However, the soldiers retreat to the palace and inform the Prime Minister and the general about the machines. The Prime Minister realizes someone is coming for him, someone he knows. Now, a group of soldiers accompanied by the bats are looking to take over the palace and liberate Darklonia. The protesters scream, "Darklonia is free," but the bats, only seeing heat signatures, open fire on the unarmed crowd. All they wanted was peace. The Prime Minister calls Destro, who coldly responds, "The Darklonian people accept your resignation, Prime Minister." The bats surround the palace as it burns. Destro enters the building with soldiers. The Prime Minister, bewildered, says, "I don't understand. When did he become a revolutionary? When did he start to care for the plight of serfs and farmers?" Destro says, "It's quite simple, ex-Prime Minister. The moment it could turn a profit." The ex-Prime Minister, looking to grab a gun to end his life, retort, "A gun runner talks to me of honor. What's the plan? A coastal European puppet state where you can traffic mutations with immunity? How's that meant to work?" Destro responds, "The Darklone family has deep blood connection to this nation, to the family that founded and named it. In fact, my cousin, Artur Darklone himself, shall take over all prime ministerial roles to facilitate the transfer of power to the people. So get out of this chair." The ex-Prime Minister, drinking a whiskey, mutters, "Another blood-soaked mercenary." The new Prime Minister, Artur Darklone, says, "You know they will welcome me with open arms. The people long for the days when the country was ruled with strength and dignity." The ex-Prime Minister retorts, "The people love me. They know I have their best interest at heart." Destro challenges, saying, "You are siphoning crisis funds, and when the drought came, there was nothing left to save them. You started burning dissenters at the stake to silence them." He then adds, "I'm tempted to discover what they will do if we let you walk out of the palace gates. I suspect they'll find new and innovative ways to hurt you." The ex-Prime Minister takes a gun to his head. He says, "I hope I see you in hell, Lord Destro." Destro just smiles. Destro communicates back to Cobra Commander at Cobra headquarters, informing him that the Prime Minister lost his life in the conflict with local revolutionaries. He adds that the prime minister has been accused of election rigging and facilitating human rights violations. Cobra Commander responds, Destro, I'm displeased. I provided you with the Energon you required to make your B.A.T project a reality. There was no discussion of using them to conquer backwater nation for the sake of your personal vendettas. Destro replies, the B.A.T needed testing in the field, Cobra Commander. Their IFF programming remains volatile at best. It means they shoot at anything with a face in that face until they're switched off. Already there is a disagreement between Cobra Commander and Destro. Cobra Commander says, so they are useless. They cannot be deployed alongside field. We are still amassing the army of Cobra. We must remain the shadow. What you have done has brought international eyes upon us. Destro, feeling separate from Cobra, responds, I run Mars, not Cobra. We are in the business together, and I will build your machines and work towards your goal, but I am not your subordinate. Remember that. As Destro closes the communication, all you see are Cobra logos on Cobra Commander's screen. He is visibly displeased. At a highly classified coordinates in the Scottish Highlands, Destro recounts a tale. For a half a century, the skies of every nation on Earth have been pregnant with the scent of rocket fuel and napalm, so pervasive that most don't even notice it's there. Before that, for hundreds of years, it was gunpowder, and before that, for millennium, it was smoke of steel smiths and the sweat of those who wielded those forged blades. Destro stands before his ancestors and declares, change is coming to the world of war, and Clan Destro will, as ever, stand at the forefront. This I promise you, my ancestors. Change has come to the world of war with this new power source, Energon. It's already allowing advancements unimagined even a decade ago. Destro addresses his ancestors. The man who calls himself Cobra Commander is our only source of Energon. He believes this means he can fold Mars into his organization. None of you, bent to others, will before me. I will not be the first. So I seek your wisdom, my ancestors, as the world shifts underfoot, threatening to split at new seams. Counsel me with the insight that has shaped history by crafting and distributing the arms of war. As Destro speaks to his ancestors, they give him the answers he needs. Destro then says, yes, of course. 3 weeks later in Darkolonia, things seem to have improved as the summer weather is beautiful. Astoria, Carlton-Ritz, the CEO of Hybrid Technology, following the death of her father, is here for the illegal arms fair. She is not the only one here for the fair. Many other country leaders, generals, and terrorists have gathered for the illegal arms fair. Artem Darklon welcomes the attendees, saying, welcome to the first biannual Securities Innovation Defensive Expo. We thank you for joining us. We appreciate that with our new government legitimacy still awaiting recognition by various international powers, there's still a certain need for discretion. Therefore, be assured this event does not officially exist and is not officially taking place. Of course, that means you may indeed get to lay eyes and hands on innovative developments that do not yet exist. So please browse and enjoy. Feel free to spend the billions of your nations and organizations, making them all safer. But someone is notably missing. Extensive Enterprises is notably absent, snubbing Destro. As Destro arrives, he welcomes everyone. Destro has done business with Astoria Carlton-Ritz's father, but she has never dealt with Destro before. She remarks, I would remember talking to Destro. Another buyer thanks Destro for hosting the show, praising M.A.R.S Industries as being light years ahead of the competition. The buyer then asks, is there any truth to rumor that you've developed automated mechanical soldiers? Destro responds, you've been listening too much gossip, I'm afraid. As far as I'm aware, no such thing exists. Mercer approaches Destro and asks to have a word with him. We've done a sweep of all the vendors, Mercer says. We've seen active developments in ionic weaponry and claims of advances in nanotech that remains hypothetical, but there's no sign of technology utilizing Energon. It's possible no one else has access to it. Destro then questions, why is Extensive Enterprise a no-show? Extensive Enterprises, specifically Xamot and Tomax, are in the Sierra Gordo in South America. As they approach a field commander, Tomax mentions, we usually don't appear face-to-face anymore, especially for minor skirmishes. We're missing a prominent event today to be here. The field commander responds, This is not a minor skirmish. The mercenaries you hire were meant to flank the enemy from the south. They failed to reach our camp, and we almost died because of their failure. Xamot responds, you fled. If you had remained, you would have been able to hold your position. Our men would have been with you within the hour. The field commander retorts, we would have been under siege, sitting ducks. 120 men might have been lost. Look at the injuries we sustained regardless. Tomax tells the general, we had estimated you would sustain 20% casualties, about as many that are currently injured. Then Xamot adds, the guerrilla cell would have been annihilated entirely and you would have retained the road to Rio Vista. The field general, unhappy with 20% of his squad dead, retorts, this is not an acceptable loss. We need manpower from extensive enterprises. You promised your mercenaries and assured us you had every eventual liability covered. Xamot replies, we do not make promises. We consult, provide risk assessments, and supply manpower and equipment necessary to put our advice into action. As the Crimson Guard twins Tomax and Xamot explains, they emphasize plans must be adaptable. We diverted the intercept the enemy supplies. This was discussed with the general. It becomes clear the twins had gone behind the back of the field officer and directly consulted with the general. Xamot says, your cowardice has been discussed and the next steps have been agreed upon by the general. Every part of the battalion must understand the stakes in battle. Fleeing is not an option. Tomax then adds 20% estimated casualties as the troops head into the infirmary. The Crimson Guards open fire in the infirmaries, causing 20% casualty among the troops. After the infirmary has been secured, Xamot addresses the field general. Good evening, General. It's done. Would you like us to draw up an estimate to replace the soldiers with Crimson Guardsmen? The general replies, very good. We'll have it for you on Monday morning. You'll need a new field commander as well. Xamot responds, oh, there's no need to apologize. Yes, we did indeed miss the arms fair in Dracolonia. Back at the arms fair, Destro, Mercer, Scrap-Eye, and all the guests are standing around conversing when they notice drones flying overhead. These drones are not Destro's, and suddenly they begin dropping bombs. Tons of bombs start raining down from the sky. More bombs continue to fall as Destro declares, we're under attack. Guests scramble to safety while the explosions intensify. Destro, however, heads towards the chaos, questioning aloud, they shouldn't have been able to breach our airspace without our knowledge. He addresses the Iron Grenadiers seeking answers. The Iron Grenadiers launch into the sky and engage the drones, destroying them with precise fire. Destro instructs them to ensure one drone is captured intact for further analysis to determine the attackers. As a drone falls on a tank, Destro exclaims, you idiot, that's a $15 million tank. An Iron Grenadier warns Destro of more incoming bombs, but despite the danger, Destro rushes over to Miss Carlton-Ritz. He screams at Astoria, but she remains transfixed by the explosion, saying, it's beautiful. Destro mutters to himself, must I be surrounded by fools? As bombs, planes, and drones continue to rain down around them. A bomb is falling and Destro throws himself on top of Astoria, shouting, get down. The bomb cracks in half with no explosion. Destro says a dud as fire surrounded them. He picks up the bomb and declares, it would appear that I am at war, smiling confidently. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics. Destro, Volume 1, Issue 2, The Energon Universe.